Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education on Tuesday, February 9th, 2016. Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Alessio, present. Burley, Fiorentino,
Present.
Garcia,
Present.
Lopez, Miller,
Present.
Stevens.
Good evening, Madam. Oop,
Go ahead.
I was out of turn. I apologize. I'm so excited.
I know.
We all are.
We got a lot to go on, but I am going to turn it over to you. But before I do, I'm going to make the comment that we do have a full room, and we have lots of students that are here. Please feel free to roam around the room to get your pictures, as long as you don't stand in somebody else's way for getting pictures, but this is your space. Oh, yes, and by the way, don't want you to think that we're being impersonal with the students that are coming up in front of us. Part of the reason why we are not starting exactly on time is we had the opportunity to meet and greet the students out in the hallway and spend some more time with them, other than taking up and shaking here. So it isn't that we're being rude. We've already spent lots of time with them and in a more personal venue than here. Mr. Hyde.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, board members, staff, parents, community members, and students, welcome to this evening's meeting. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce staff and students from Perry Elementary School who will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. They'll also, these are students that are part of the Service Learning Club, or the Our We Act, recently raising over $1,000 for the Northern Illinois Food Bank. So I'd ask Ms. Chris Sainsbury, principal, to please join us at the podium and introduce her students.
And I do apologize because some of these younger students, we did not all get to meet with them. So I don't want them to think that they were slighted because they didn't meet us. So we will give them a hearty hello here.
And we do have an upgraded sound system for them this evening because I believe they each have some speaking parts this evening. So,
and again, feel free for your pictures. Can we go down there and watch?
Good evening, Board of Education, community members, district staff, and parents. It is truly a pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate the work of our We Act Club students. Just like Mr. Hyde mentioned, We Act is a service learning program, a club facilitated by our students at Perry Elementary School. I want to take a moment to recognize our students and then go through a little bit of what our club is all about, and they will do most of that work for you. So in just one moment, they're going to tell you a little bit more. So we have the following students I'd really like to take a moment to recognize. We have Taria Powell, if you could raise your hand, sweetheart. Alexander Salazar, Montserrat Ramos, Christopher Valle, Ronaldo Martinez, Andres Montoya, Arizbe Tinajero, Dylan Escobar, Jaime Perez, Miranda Montoya, Fatima Rodriguez, Naomi Diaz, Tariana Foster. We Act students, the floor is yours.
In our club, we have 42 members. We meet once a month. We learn about social issues. We make changes. In the club, we have been very busy. We had too many objectives, a global and a local action, but we are doing more campaigns. In September and October, we run 2 campaigns. We create change. In our community. And we take church. At Perry, in 1 month, we recycle 33-gallon bags of recycled materials. In the week of October 26 to 30, we scare hunger. For a week, we collected non-perishable food that was collected to a local food pantry. On November 17, we had our local occasion All the members helped 140 families got enough food for 2 weeks.
Wow.
In November 20, we run the campaign We Are Silent. We were silent for the children who don't have voices. In December, we won't rest. We learn about homeless. We collect and donate basic supplies to aid local shelters. And in January, we are working in our Perry Global Action. Our first goal was to raise $300 to provide primary education to at least 5 children from a developing country. With the help and support of the staff of Perry and outside donors, we will collect close to $1,000.
I would also like to take this moment to thank our We Act Club sponsors, Mrs. Ava Ortiz and Mrs. Claire Yang, and also thank Mr. Mike Folta, our assistant principal, for his support in our school and our program. Thank you very much. And they are so humble, so if you guys could just wave just a moment, because you are fantastic. So, Ava, thank you. Members of the board community, will you please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance?
Excellent job. Thank you.
Am I unplugging you here?
Thank you so
You look
much.
amazing. Good job. Very good job.
I know. I- You're also welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. Not sure it will be as exciting. I mean, we do have some other music students coming, but you should be very proud of your students.
I shared with our Perry students that, and thank you for the rest of you who are here tonight. I know we're here to honor our students for their outstanding performance in Peoria, but I did stretch the truth a little to tell them, to tell our Perry students that you were all actually here to see them tonight. So thank you. We doubled down tonight, so very much appreciated.
And I like how with a full room here, the students were very comfortable and not intimidated at all. That doesn't come easy, and I can speak from an experienced adult. Okay, moving on, Mr. Hyde. Oh, sorry, it's me.
Yes, ma'am.
I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I do want to make note that we will be having the second closed session that is listed under number 13. So motion to approve the
So
agenda?
moved.
Second.
Fiorentino,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Miller,
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And now I toss it back to Mr. Hyde.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, Board of Education, District 300 staff, and community members, parents as well. I'd like to offer my sincere congratulations and admiration to our 3 ensembles that recently performed at the ILMEA, sometimes I say that too quickly, conference in Peoria on January 28th, including our District 300 Honors Choir, the Westfield Community School Jazz Ensemble, and the Dundee Crown Jazz Ensemble. The selection process for ILMEA started over a year ago and required a rigorous application and auditioning process. It's a tremendous honor for a district to have one program invited to perform at the ILMEA, so to have 3 is simply outstanding. Each ensemble had been preparing for this event for over a year. It can be a nerve-wracking for some of any age to perform their craft in front of a collection of their colleagues across the state. I need to commend our young students for displaying masterful composure as they performed brilliantly throughout the conference. I'd also like to commend District 300's Coordinator of Music Education, Ms. Jennifer Troy, Westfield Jazz Ensemble's directors, Kevin Dobick and Keith Pittner, Dundee Crown Jazz Ensemble Director, Mark Betcher, Dundee Crown Choral Director, Lisa Betcher, Jacobs High School Choral Director, Jacob Stouffer, and Hampshire High School Choral Director, Christopher Cherry, for all the time and effort that they put into making these performances such a success. I'd also like to obviously thank our school board members, building principals, and other District 300 staff who were in attendance. I can tell you again, having been in attendance at the event, having made the drive down to Peoria, it's an interesting drive from here.
No, it's not. No,
It is so amazing to watch our kids perform. The level and the quality of their performances, their absolute composure through it all. I even got a chance to help out one of our students during the event. It was really, really impressive. But I got to tell you, of all the events, I tried really hard. I was a science teacher. I have a pretty decent background in literacy and reading, and to listen to Mark Betcher talk about the language of jazz, I hung on his every word, and yet I didn't understand anything he said. I struggled through it all. But the amazing part was every other music educator in that room hung on his every word and followed everything he said. And I will tell you, in all of my years, to hear our staff from Jacobs, when we did our combined choir, to hear them present on para in a teacher evaluation, by far the best explanation I have ever heard. And that was a packed house of other educators who got a chance to hear how they've really taken something that could be disconcerting for teachers about the evaluation process and really bring it to life, focused on what students are doing and their growth over the year. So very impressive to watch them, and they all deserve tremendous recognition. They pour hours of their free time to support our students. I've been on the campuses. I watch them every lunch period where kids are rushing in there to spend more time with them. And so really, absolutely hats off to all of you for supporting our program and, more importantly, for making a difference for our students. So thank you. So at this time, I would ask Ms. Jennifer Troy to join us at the podium. She will introduce our staff, and they will also be introducing our students by school.
Good evening, Mr. Hyde, members of the Board of Education, parents in our community. Truly, it is a night to celebrate music education in District 300. We are extremely proud of the students we're going to bring before you tonight, and really, tonight is about them. So let's bring them right up. First, we're going to introduce Lisa Betcher, the Choral Director of Dundee Crown High School.
Thank you very much for your support this evening and in Peoria. For choral, honors choir, Sebastian Morse. Future music educator, Eric Torres. Jazz ensemble, Nick Russo, drummer in the Honors Jazz Ensemble. Also for jazz ensemble, Luke Stillwell, trombone, All-State Jazz Ensemble.
Don't worry, they'll be back. Next, we have Mr. Chris Cherry, the Choral Director at Hampshire High School.
This year we were fortunate enough to have 3 students represent us at the state level from Hampshire High School. For future music educators, we have Nikki Karate. For all-state chorus, we have Kyra Busog. And for honors all-state choir and the #1 bass 2 in our district, Aldrin Briones.
They'll be back, yes. And from Jacobs High School, we have Jake Stauffer.
It's a party back there. It's bring the music, people, and it gets crazy. We were fortunate enough to have 5 students from Jacobs High School represent Jacobs in District 300 at the Illinois Music Educators All-State Festival. In choir, we had Isabel de los Reyes. And also in the All-State Chorus, Dylan Magigad. Representing us in the Future Music Educators Seminar, we had Alexa Osqui. And also Holly Bender. And participating as a composer, as a future composer in the composition contest, submitting a piano composition, was Chris Ansira.
Those are our 12 students from District 300 who were chosen for the all-state ensembles to go to the conference. The Future Music Educator Symposium gave those students an opportunity to see what life is like as a music educator, go to clinics that we attend as music educators and participants of the conference. So it was a nice experience for those 12 kids. Now we want to celebrate the 3 ensembles that had the privilege and honor of performing for their peers and for other music educators across the state down in Peoria. Up first, we have Kevin Daubek in the Westfield Jazz Band.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here for today. My name is Kevin Daubek. I have the pleasure of working with this fantastic group of students you see in front of you, and we'll just go down the line and they can be recognized. So this is in the saxophone section. We have Connor Frank, Nathan Killo, Elizabeth Pacetis, Jackson Schmidt Vallejo, Morgan Williams, and Joey Weislek. In the trumpets, we have Mr. Tommy Devona, Matthew Flandro, Justin McCraw, Andrew McMahon, and Josh Necker. The trombone section is made up of Grant Bauman, Mr. Nathan Cook, Anna Lohman, and Ethan Schmidt. And rhythm section is Joey Andriano, Michael Grell, Kelton Kennan, Natalie Coswera, Christopher May, and Christoph Solis.
Joining us next is Mark Betcher from the Dundee Crown High School Jazz Band.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We had a tremendous experience in Peoria, and this is really a terrific group of young people, and really enjoying working with them. I will introduce them.
Okay.
Our saxophone section, Lorimer Artiega, Chris Escobar, Uriel Hernandez, Chris Sanchez Mango, and Rachel Yonamine. The trumpets are Chris Arguin, Michael Garcia, Ramses Padilla, and Jamie Ruiz. The trombones are Samuel Gotti, Matt Garcia, Curtis, Merrick. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm having a space out here. Eddie Menares and Luke Stella. In the rhythm section, Kevin Anderson, Ernesto Benuelos, James Cadera, Theo Morgenbuck, Nick Russo, and Andrew Vogler and Mary Weichetlager. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's amazing, all of the young men in suits and so well, dressed. It's very impressive that they show up and they show up dressed.
They were
Thank
saying,
you.
well, Miss Miller, they said that they all were dressed like this at school today.
They
And now we bring to you to celebrate the District 300 Honor Choir of our high schools. First, we have Lisa Betcher again from Dundee Crown High School.
I'm tempted to ask you to sing something.
Oh, please do. Please do. We would do it in a
yes,
second.
Yes. What do you mean tempted?
What was the what was the final number you sang at ILMEA?
Hallelujah. Jake Runestad. Yeah, it's a great piece.
Was that the introduction for them to start singing?
Was that? Well, I think since it's an active collaboration, I would think that all three of us should do that. Maybe at the end, if you're so willing.
Yes.
Perfect.
I think we would be so willing.
Prepare your kids. We're singing Hallelujah in a few minutes. Yes, a push pipe would be great. I think my partners in crime just floored the building. Help! So before we start, I'd just like to thank my team at Dundee Crown. Not only is it a collaborative effort, what you see before you tonight with Jake, Chris, and I, but it happens at the building level with Mark and Melissa and Preston and another silent partner who's here tonight, but name is not involved, and that is my colleague Joan Doran, who is our accompanist, and we just love and respect you so much. Thank you. So, Laura Arteaga, tenor. Melanie Bergman, soprano. Alexandra Bremer, alto. Elise Dahler, alto, sometimes soprano. Emily Fieslin, alto. Molly Fox, both soprano and alto. Sarah Gowdy, bass. Benjamin Garcia, son of Kim, bass. Matthew Garcia, bass. And Bill Garth, alto. Maggie Hines, soprano. Josh Kilsener, bass. Brooke Kittle, alto, sometimes soprano. James Knapp, tenor. Kayla Lawrence, alto. Colleen Letheby, alto. Rachel Lind, alto. Caesar Lucas, tenor. Zachary Lum, tenor. Jessica Matulik, alto. Jack May, baritone. Quinn Miller, tenor. Sebastian Morse, again, tenor. Chase Nelson, bass. Natalie Rowe, soprano. Melissa Sangalang, soprano. Callie Skirlin, soprano. Eric Torres, again, tenor. Jelani Washington, bass. Alyssa Hare. We have three that aren't with us tonight, and one, I just have to share this, went in audition for The Voice and got a call back. So he's in a studio in Chicago this evening with his second call back. So keep your fingers crossed. We are very, very proud of your endeavors. You worked really hard. Congratulations, all of you.
So we'll bring them back. Okay. So you guys are going to go that way.
We'll see you in a few minutes
Yeah,
when you
we'll
come
bring you
back to
back,
sing.
guys. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Lisa, if I put you on the spot, I apologize, but
No,
we have all these parents here with cameras, and thought it'd
That's
be nice.
what music teachers do. We're better with a crowd.
There you go.
Next, we're going to bring back, Chris Cherry from Hampshire High School and his chamber choir students.
All right, this is the Hampshire High School Chamber Choir, and we'll just go right down the line. Veronica Bakhta, soprano. J.T. Barlick, tenor. Michelle Bednarowski, alto. Abby Bennett, alto. Kelsey Bradley, soprano. You guys can acknowledge, you can wave and stuff. Yeah, so they know who you are. Colin Bradley, baritone. Aldrin Briones, bass. Kyra Busog, alto. Nikki Karate, alto. Noah Darpa, tenor. Abby Decker, soprano. Nicolette Endine, alto. Melissa Frugoli, alto. Erica Gonzalez, soprano. Darian Goulding, bass. Mackenzie Hollander, soprano. Sarah Lepic, soprano. Michael Pallid, tenor. Nicholas Panzica, baritone. PJ Powell, tenor. Merrick Ramza, baritone. Zach Rieger, tenor. Matthew von Wackenhagen, bass. Daniel Wallace, tenor. Bailey Winchell, alto. And Anna Wood, alto.
Yeah. Okay, you're coming back to sing.
Did you guys get the news that you're coming back in
Warm
the
up.
group to sing? Okay, just wanted to make sure that it got out
It's
there.
going to be cozy, but we're going to do it.
It's warm enough in the hall, so your vocal cords be.
Yes, get in your parts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We may go antiphonal here, Anya. It'll be good.
We can move.
Okay. And now we have Jake Stauffer from Jacobs High School and his students.
Yeah.
I think we're the last one. I think. Come on in. It's a little cooler in here than it is in the hallway.
Parents, if there are some seats, those that are standing, there are still some seats if you want to sit.
These are the members of the Jacobs High School Golden Heirs Chamber Choir. We have some members that are not with us this evening, could not be here due to illness or other commitments, but we have 24 of our 28 who are here this evening. I'm not going to list voice parts in the interest of time. Most of them sing many voice parts, so I just kind of want to leave that out as we go through. But we have Madison Alberry, Chris Ansira, and you guys can wave when you, yeah, there we go. Allie Anstead, Alexa Osqui, Trent Bauman, Holly Bender, James Berg, Randall Chomer, Isabel De Los Reyes, Lillian Devona, Lindsay Drake, Christelle Escalante, Stephanie Fiorentino, Liam Fitch, Danielle Gear, Braden Harder, Alex Kufal, Julia Levy, Dylan Magigad, Mauricio Martinez, Christine Pulio, Gabe Reif, Connor Sullivan, Lucas Tanner, and Ryan Webb. And no meeting, no gig is ripe without trying to figure out some logistics. So we're going to sing. We're going to go all the way back in, and we're going to sing. You're going to get a chance to hear us. So I'm going to ask the Jacobs Choir to come on up around and behind. You're going to go all the way over. So Madison, you're leading, and we're going back up and around. And if you give us 2 minutes, we're going to sing a little bit for you.
Do you want our microphones on or off up here?
Probably off.
Off?
While
I
we're
know, but I don't want to disrupt or have a bad sound, so just make.
They have to get by sections and all that good stuff. While they're transitioning, and I hope the other choirs are coming in, Mr. McGinn, can you bring it? There we go. While they're coming in, I just want to take this moment to let you know that the teachers and directors that we brought here tonight are one piece of the story. We have music educators who planted the seed of a love of music for children starting in kindergarten, and that has grown, and this is the culmination of that experience. So your music educators down at Perry and the other elementary schools and through middle schools have contributed to this process. So they deserve a round of applause as well. Absolutely. I also want to thank publicly the building administration, all of the principals and assistant principals who supported the teachers and these students through this process, and also all the administrators who came to Peoria and board members, Mr. Hyde, all traveled down there. And I do have one funny story to share with you out of Peoria. They're almost done. Your superintendent literally gave the shirt off his back for one of the District 300 students while we were in Peoria. We had a little wardrobe issue, and Mr. Hyde literally gave his shirt, Mr. Stauffer literally gave his jacket, and if you looked at the performers, you would never know that there was anything different than what was planned. So thank you, District 300, for supporting these music students.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
So, Madam President, I was commenting that I do believe that Mr. Fiorentino is the only board member to have been serenaded on his birthday as part of our official meeting.
I think that's excellent.
And this room, Mr. Bandelas, great
no,
job.
no.
Great acoustics in this room.
So
Pretty
I
amazing.
have to say that I know Mr. Fiorentino, Mrs. Garcia, and other board members are now or have been music parents. I've not been blessed with any of my children being talented enough to be a music parent. And the kind of music that they played, I don't think would be acceptable for other people to hear. However, as a non-music parent, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the music parents and the kids, and I wish I were here to hear this because, I mean, you guys get to hear this all the time. You go to the concerts, you go to the rehearsals. I know what that's like. But they're always singing for people that they know. I'm not one that they know. And so whenever I get to go to a music production, whether it's a school musical or a concert or whatever, I am even more appreciative of it because I don't even sing happy birthday. So I just love that they come here. And I appreciate from a non-music parent's perspective, it really matters.
I want to say thank you. It was a special birthday treat. I had the honor of going to Peoria, and I just want to say that what you saw here was just a little part of what we observed and what we're so proud of in Peoria. It was all wonderful, but I do have to say that the combined choir was amazing. And I say that not as a person just listening in the audience, as a proud father, but I say that because I talked to a lot of other educators that were in that church that day, and the church was packed probably with about 500 people. And as I talked to them, they acknowledged how unique it was for our district and our educators within our district to put this together. And very, very special. And Mrs. Troy said it very well by saying that congratulations not only to these music educators at this level, but music educators throughout our district at every level. So well done.
After that, it's hard to move on to the agenda, but moving on. Superintendent reports.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to try our best. I'm going to try by opening with our Blue Ribbon Society acknowledgement and recognition. So, board members, before I recognize tonight's Blue Ribbon Society recipient, I'd also like to acknowledge Hampshire High School's baseball coach, John Sarna. Many of you know that last week, Coach Sarna was selected by USA Baseball to coach in the Tournament of Stars presented by Major League Baseball. John will travel to North Carolina this summer to coach the top 108 high school baseball players in the country. We're obviously very proud of Coach Sarna and that he will attend an upcoming board meeting to receive more formal recognition. So congratulations. I know Dr. Bending's in the audience as well as some other Hampshire staff. Thank you so much for being here, and please make sure that you pass on our congratulations as well. Moving on to our Blue Ribbon Society Award, I do have the privilege this evening to present the award to a Jacobs High School student. Board members, as you know, the Blue Ribbon Society Recognition Program acknowledges individuals who demonstrate the admirable qualities while striving towards District 300's central mission to ensure that all students are college and career ready. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure and honor to recognize Ms. Paige Newman, a senior at Jacobs High School. Paige submitted the winning design for our District 300's One-to-One Initiative logo contest. Once Paige's design was selected, it was delivered to the communications department where it was reformatted for printing purposes. Paige's logo appeared on our District One-to-One Program Initiative trifold that was delivered to district staff during an in-service day last month. And her logo will continue to be used on all future One-to-One Initiative projects moving forward. I'd also like to recognize two Jacobs staff members who are in attendance this evening to support Paige. Mr. Tom Domans and A.J. Capello. Tom is Paige's art teacher at Jacobs, and A.J. is an instructional technology facilitator. Both Tom and A.J. were helpful throughout this process. And at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Paige Newman to come forward to receive her Blue Ribbon Society recognition.
Love the design.
We should have come up with a virtual handshake. Congratulations and thank you so much. Moving on, Madam President, board members, staff, and community members, and students. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and bring the team to the podium. We have Dr. Churchill, we have Susan Harkin, we have Ms. Lindsay Sharp, and we also have Mr. Anthony McGinn, who will be providing, as you know, we provide regular updates as it pertains to our strategic plan. So Dr. Churchill will begin this evening.
Good evening, everyone. This is, I don't know, the second time we've been back to provide updates, I believe, and we're very pleased with the progress as a district we've made towards our 4 strategic goals. The first goal, Goal 1, developing great teachers and leaders, has a number of initiatives and strategies attached to it. The way we've set up the presentation this evening, each of us will go through and describe a few of the actions in progress tied to each of the larger initiatives and provide additional detail where necessary. So under Goal 1, the first strategy is to provide teachers and students with the tools and resources necessary to meet the demands of the new Illinois Learning Standards. A significant amount of work has been done in this area. Of note, we are developing a web-based curriculum portal to house all curriculum frameworks and related documents at each grade level. Initially, this is a staff tool. We've rolled out the elementary curriculum portal and the middle school curriculum portal. The high school portal is in process. In the long term, we intend also to have access to parents so that they can kind of have a sense of where we are with our curriculum as a district. We are also in the process of ensuring that our curriculum frameworks are implemented with fidelity. So it's one thing to say we have a curriculum on a piece of paper. It's another thing to make sure that we're providing support to teachers so that we can guarantee across the system, whether you're a 3rd grader at Gary D. Wright Elementary School or a 3rd grader at Eastview Elementary School, that you have access to the same high-quality, rigorous curriculum. We're also, just like we're working on curriculum, we're also working on assessment and ensuring that we have the supports necessary for our teachers and staff to continue to do the phenomenal work they do on a daily basis. The second strategy in Goal 1 is to recruit, employ, and retain high-quality, diverse teachers, instructional leaders, and staff. The board has specifically asked about this in the past. We wanted to make sure to update the board that our HR department, under the leadership of Mr. Mora, has or is in the process of putting together a comprehensive recruitment plan so that we can attract and retain in a non-traditional way even staff more representative of our overall student demographics. We're also looking at a way to target hard-to-fill positions. There's some examples there on the right-hand side of the screen. There are areas in which it is difficult to attract and retain staff because there are not that many out there. So we're working actively to really be ahead of the pack, as it were, to attract and retain the best and the brightest educators. The third strategy related to strategic goal 1 is to provide training and support to all of our staff. We have put together a support staff training schedule, so we're not just looking at the training and development of our teachers, but of all of our staff. And we have put in place a coaching, mentoring, and supervision plan for building principals. In progress, we are looking at updating all of the mandatory trainings. So the state requires a number of trainings, our ROE requires a number of trainings. So we're putting that together in collaboration with our union groups. And then we are also in the 4th year of quantum learning, something we adopted as a district a number of years ago. And we're looking at the best way to maintain that program over the coming years. A couple of additional notes here related to strategic goal 1. We did add a new action under the leadership of our superintendent. We added an action related to transition planning for those administrators that are retiring from our system. And then the board has asked us, or our superintendent on behalf of the board has asked us to indicate those areas that appear in the plan, but which perhaps little progress has been made. So an example of that here, we would like to and have identified as part of our strategic plan the establishment of differentiated compensation for those hard to place, hard to hire positions, and that's something yet that we are still looking to get after in the coming years. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. McGinn.
Good evening. Tonight I'm pleased to provide the board with an update on goal number 2 of our strategic plan. Since our last update, we've completed a number of new action items, including the establishment of regular meetings with work groups. Superintendent Hyde hosts regular One Voice, One District meetings with various district staff. Those One Voice, One District meetings have provided us with very robust dialogue. We recently hosted one with middle school teachers, and we are moving forward with another One Voice, One District meeting next week. We've also had several actions in progress for Strategy 2.1, establishing a culture that is collaborative, transparent, and child-centric. We are publishing quarterly updates on the strategic plan and district initiatives. Dr. Churchill, Ms. Harkin, and I recently completed a series of video updates that coincide with tonight's meeting, tonight's board presentation, and those have been uploaded for the public to view on our strategic plan website at d300.org/strategic plan. We're also considering the use of new communication tools with parents. We recently worked on a community-wide technology and internet access survey, and while surveys are not a new communication tool, the communication integration of this particular survey was a new process, and it resulted in a very positive response from our community, and we're very excited about that. The Communications Department is nearing completion on our 2015 annual report. One of the major focus areas while creating this new annual report was to find ways to communicate district information clearly and transparently. We're really excited to share the final version with you in the very near future. We also continue work on our redesigned website. There are 2 vendors who are currently in contention. Last week, we conducted a round of user tests with 8 different staff members throughout the district. Next week and later this week, we're conducting a round of our second user test with the second company, and this will help inform our decision as we move closer to finalize our vendor selection. For Strategy 2.2, creating a welcoming, respectful, and responsive environment for all stakeholders that leads to an open line of communication, we're in the process of brainstorming effective ways to track and respond to stakeholder concerns, and we are moving forward toward online registration. The Communications Department and the Technology Department have been meeting on a regular basis since our last board update to discuss our district's transition to online registration, and will continue to do so with increased frequency as online registration approaches. For Strategy 2.3, expanding and ensuring alignment between the district's strategic plan and community, government, and nonprofit and business initiatives, we will be hosting a District Leadership Council meeting on March 17th, where we invite community leaders from surrounding areas to discuss items that impact our district. These meetings have provided a great dialogue with our district administration and have led to helpful and useful problem solving. And that concludes the strategic plan goal for number 2. And I'd like to invite Susan Harkin for goal number 3.
So one thing I want to highlight as we're going through this presentation is the whole entire strategic plan document was part of tonight's board package. So these are just the highlights of things that we've worked on and really wanted to draw attention to. Again, there's like 350 different action items that we have on the plan. So we're making great progress, but tonight we're just highlighting some of those items that we've completed since the last time we've been in front of you. So my goal is on the equitable and efficient use of the school district resources. And Strategy 3.1 focuses in on adequacy and the transparent viewing of the district finances. And most of my stuff generally has to come forward as part of board action. So we did talk about credit card fees. Again, as we want to efficiently use school district resources, we found a way to lower that fee to the district with the hope that we'll save about $20,000 per year and hopefully on a larger basis going forward. We have been working at reviewing and identifying food service equipment and our buildings and grounds equipment to ensure that we're replacing that in a proper cycle as part of being responsible with the dollars we're entrusted. Those items have been completed and are moving forward. Actions in progress are as we're trying to be very conscientious how we share information with staff in the area of procedures and documents. We're in the process of a SharePoint conversion, which holds and houses all the district resources that need to be shared with district staff. And that project hopefully will be finished in the next couple of months. We have brought forth to you how we dispose of district assets, and we do know that the board would like to see a formal presentation on really what that does look like. When we get rid of items, how do we follow a process that ensures that it's disposed of in an equitable way, in a financially responsible way. The last item on there is we put this presentation, we did not know, but we were trying to apply for a zero to no, very low interest loan through the State Board of Education to help fund our capital projects, and we were alerted on Friday that we did not qualify for that application. So we're going to...
Well, sorry, we qualified. We were priority ranked 87th. And they did not get that deep into the list. I'm not correcting Ms. Harkin. It's just I don't want people to think that our application was denied.
Yeah, our application was accepted and was relevant. We did not meet the threshold of what was where they funded it at, and they got to 27. And most of the school districts are more needy than us. Imagine that, because we do have high needs. We were not selected. The next goal area, strategy 3.2, is efficiency. Really looking at how do we efficiently use the resources we're entrusted to. We are looking at transportation services. Ms. Bordson does an excellent job with reviewing and trying to make sure that how do we run our transportation in an efficient manner that provides the best transportation for our students and families. She's done an outstanding job in that area. And then Ms. Baez has done an excellent job at looking at the grant dollars that we get through state and federal funding and making sure that it's really appropriated to the greatest need for our students. Areas that we're working on is as we get additional dollars in our federal and state programs, how do we make sure that that gets to the most instructional needs and supports? There was positions added this year, and Ms. Baez did a great job, and through Mr. Hyde's and the teaching and learning team support to really make sure that those dollars got at our most neediest students. We did recently, because we do look at all areas, realigned our buildings and ground staffing structure. We took some positions, and as they became vacant, really looked at, is there an opportunity to better use those positions to help support the overall vision of that department. And Mr. Dirk did a great job with making some suggestions on how we could do that. And Ms. Sharp continues to look at grant opportunities, and we're going to be applying for a couple more grants coming up, and she has applied, and we're going to have one later on tonight's presentation to show how she's actively seeking dollars to really stretch everything and support the various initiatives we have. 3.3 relates to our instructional technology. Again, we've brought forward to you the one-to-one middle school rollout plan, the one-to-one elementary school rollout plan. Don't want to rush through those, but certainly Ms. Pasco and Mr. Emerson have done a great job with how we're shaping that and bringing that portion forward. As we do the budget presentation tonight, we'll talk about with some financial limitations, where our next revision of what that might look like will be brought forth to you. And then as part of the plan and as that develops, we are looking at the back of the classroom K-5 technology needs, and that plan has to be hashed out as we refine and tweak our one-to-one rollout plan. Items that were added this time is Mr. Dirk has looked at, we really need to get our arms around a lockout tag system for our buildings. We're looking at preventative maintenance for our equipment, because not only do we want to make sure we're repairing and placing it, we want to make sure we're properly maintaining it. And that's something we've discussed at the CFOC level with that board committee, and we're in the process of developing a conversion plan. Again, most of this comes from the budget request as well too. Actions with little or no progress, we are working on, and we hope by the end of this month that we will actually have buses where we've got that are needed to be disposed of that make sure it aligns with our overall district plan and disposal process. And we're now starting to really get in the heat of implementing our East Side School grade configuration, and really there is progress that's being made on that. It's just right now we're in the heat of all of that, and just really trying to define what that plan looks like. And so goal 4, back to Dr. Churchill.
Thank you. So the fourth goal is related to developing the whole child. The first strategy is, sorry, get this to come back up here. To facilitate and align effective systems to support the whole child. The PBIS Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports Program is up and running district-wide. We looked at expanding wraparound service providers to meet the needs of all students. We're currently in the process of updating our district-wide RTI program. So when we talk about PBIS and RTI together, we refer to multi-tiered systems of supports, and we're proud to say that we've done a lot of work in that area over the course of this school year. On the education services or special education side of things, we've been looking specifically under Mrs. Nackey's leadership to revise the way we look for disproportionality. There's a district-wide committee led by Mrs. Nackey, and we're looking at the procedures used to analyze students for special education services. The second strategy area related to Goal 4 is to encourage positive behavior, respect towards others, and to ensure safe environments throughout the district. We have established a district-level safety committee, and we did finalize, Mr. Chester finalized some district security camera upgrade recommendations. We are in process of looking at student discipline, specifically office discipline referral data to determine whether or not we need changes to district policies, procedures, and then we're specifically looking at consistency of implementation of the behavior policies. We are also looking at restorative practices as part of the overall safety plan for students and for positive behavior. And finally, we are looking to make sure that we improve the consistency of our overall behavior management and then the communication of that to families. Too far. So the third strategy in Goal 4 is to facilitate and align effective wraparound services for students based on needs. So at the secondary level, we are looking at student needs related to clubs and possible expansion. We are at both levels, both secondary and elementary. We're also looking at developing master scheduling documents so that we can ensure consistency in the manner and method in which we create the master schedule at our high schools, our middle schools, and our elementary schools in order to really ensure equity in the programs that we're offering. The last point that I'll make here related to Goal 4, we did indicate as part of the strategic plan that we'd redefine the use of the 1-800 line to include not only specific threats to student safety, but also to describe other at-risk behaviors, and that's something that we have yet to accomplish. I believe that is the end. I don't know if there's anybody, or Mr. Hyde.
Thank you. Good job. For the board, I know you may have some questions, so I just want to say something real quick. The work that's been done on our strategic plan is absolutely excellent. I mean, when you look at the quality of what we've put together, what we've developed, and just to reflect back to when we first started this process 1.5 years ago, we had a strategic plan, but it wasn't necessarily always measurable. It had great phrases in it, great terminology, very idealistic, but there was no way to really get at what we were trying to accomplish or in a measurable way. So we shifted focus, made sure that the strategic plan provides for a high level of accountability, hence the reason why we provide regular updates, but it also provides an opportunity. I think there's always a question that lingers in people's minds. What do staff do? What do all those administrators do with their time? I would tell you, if you have not looked at the strategic plan online, you'll be absolutely amazed at what I require staff to do on any given day to continue to support classroom instruction, to continue to ensure that student outcomes are comparable to any other school district in our state or in the nation. We work very hard and diligently, and it's a great way to maintain that focus so that we don't deviate with pet projects or other initiatives. We maintain our focus. It doesn't necessarily provide credibility, but it provides an explanation of what people do each and every day in their roles. And I think that's important as well. And the work that's been done, and I just wanted to add this, I was, in the last several days, contacted by 2 other states, by school districts in 2 other states, who are so impressed by our strategic plan, the manner in which it's presented, the manner in which we track it, the video updates that staff provide. So kudos to you. Tremendous job that each and every one of you does each day to help support our initiatives, to help improve student outcomes and help improve supports for teachers. But that type of recognition, it's one thing for me to give them acknowledgement here. It's another to say, when other people start contacting us because of the quality of the work that we're putting forward, that says a lot about where we are as a district. So again, thank you to my staff, and a strong, sincere thank you to the board for allowing us to make this shift. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
Two of you may move away from the podium. Ms. Harkin will remain there. Ms. Harkin will move on into the budget presentation. As the board recalls, we provided some information, and then based on feedback from board members, and then based on our work in the school finance committee sessions, we've revised some of those requests, and I think you'll be pleased with the information presented to you this evening.
So just as an overview of what will be presented tonight, we'll go over the assumptions of what we've used to create the FY16-17 budget. Again, what does that look like on a baseline level when we build off of the previous years? We did make one revision to that baseline budget based upon some information we modeled through a financial model we have for state funding. We are going to present to you a revised request list. Again, as Mr. Hyde indicated, we met with the Board Finance Committee, and due to some of the uncertainty with state finances and other issues lingering out there, we have reduced the request to you until we get further information out of the state. It isn't that we want those to go away and never revisit those, but what we'd like to do is put those on hold for the time being, and later on in tonight's board meeting, ask for your approval to move forward with those requests, because those requests will need to be posted and applied for, and the sooner we get to those issues, the sooner we can get to making sure that the next start of the school year goes well. And then we'll come back of what does that look like with the request and model what that looks like from a financial basis, and then we just want to make sure that you're still in line with the capital projects that are posed to you as well. So of our budget assumptions, again, we talked about what CPI was and what we modeled that at. Again, what's different is we actually ran through a very sophisticated model, our general state aid, based upon the current funding model in the state of Illinois. So what happens is that's a function of what our property values are worth, and so we actually have a very sophisticated model that we were able to run that through. So tonight, the budget projections in front of you have been updated to model that. All of the other assumptions were presented at the last board meeting, but that item was changed. With that, overall, really there's a line that says A plus B up there, and that really represents our revenues over expenditures. And right now, if we modeled out what's provided to us, would be the FY21 school year that we would start running a deficit, and we would have a fund balance of about 36%. One thing you have to note is the way that the general state aid formula works is as our EAV went down, our property values went down, our general state aid has gone up. And what will happen, because this is the concern with the state funding formula, as our property values start to go up again, our general state aid will go down again. So it really becomes this big conundrum, and that really truly was what has caused the district finances major juxtaposition with trying to figure out how to manage this piece. And we'll work closely with the Finance Committee and Mr. Hyde, but at this point, until the state settles in with what their budget looks like and has one, this is the best we can do at the current time. This next slide shows you what our fund balances would look like. The red line represents what our fund balance would look like as of June 30th. The blue line represents at our lowest point, prior to getting our first installment of property taxes, what would be the money we have in the bank. So you can see it holds pretty steady in this model. We'd be at about $34 million, and it usually happens right before we get our May taxes, and that would allow us not to have to issue tax anticipation warrants or issue short-term borrowings in order to make payroll or pay our accounts payable or any of the bills that the district has. So that's very healthy, and we feel very good about that piece, which then allows us to make the request that we have in front of you tonight. So this was a request that we presented at the last board meeting. The white are those items that we're requesting to keep on the table for right now, and we'll ask for you to approve later on, but the red represents what changes we've made. So the first item that we've changed, because I'm not going to go back through each one of the individual requests, I'll just mention what changes have been made. We met as a team, the executive team through the leadership of Mr. Hyde, and we really went to what are those key pieces that we believe will be the best for our students and staff. So at this point in time, what we'd like to recommend, and it was a tough conversation, it was a very robust conversation because everybody certainly wants to support the areas that they oversee, but we'd like to recommend moving the one-to-one, not wireless, that actually is the one-to-one technology, move it to grades 3 through 8. We had proposed grades 1 through 8. We'd like to propose moving that to grades 3 through 8. We had requested to add additional staff to get at those students that may need additional support the second semester and add some additional FTE at the high school level. We'd like to postpone that for now. We would like to postpone for now the addition of an educational specialist for a 504 counselor, but we would like to leave the early childhood counselor, educational specialist out there to provide support for them. And then we went to some of the other smaller things that are very important to the people that requested them, but we'd like to at this point defer the state championship fund, the music accompanist at the high school, the security camera upgrade. So it's interesting, tonight we presented that a plan has been brought forth to us for the strategic plan, but we do have to find funding for it. It is a need, but at this point we really looked at where can we get to the best services for our students, and not to undermine any of these requests, but what we'd like to do is table that for now. We definitely postponed the administrative assistant at the administrative level, the QSBC loan payments off the table now with the elimination of that, our application being put to the side. And then the last thing is after school transportation, we'll postpone that. So this represents an overall reduction of our request from last time of over $1.6 million. So what does that do for our finances? At this point, we would start to see a deficit in the year FY19. But if we look at all the way out till 21, we still would be maintaining our 3 months or 25% of fund balance. Again, this does not model if there's a property tax freeze, and it does not model if there's a change in the general state aid formula, and nor does it model what a pension shift is. But what you can see is through at least 19 for the next 3 years, we would still have sufficient fund balances, and we may have to make a course correction at that point, and maybe at that point we have more money, and therefore, the state will fully fund what they should be for the School District 300, and we may be in a position that we can improve upon what we're requesting for you tonight. So what does that do? Again, we talked about the red line shows what our fund balance as of June 30th would be, and so you see it dropping off. And the blue line represents whether or not we would need to borrow money, tax anticipation warrants in May, due to not having enough money in the bank to cover those payrolls. And it still would leave about $12 million at that point in time. But you can see it does begin to drop down, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. But again, I think we're firm believers is we don't want to build fund balances up, but we want to be responsible to the taxpayers and to the overall district, and we don't want to put it in a financial situation that would be bad. But I can tell you the items that are brought forth are really good for the kids in our community. Capital projects, again, we'd like to maintain the renovation at the CMS. Bids went out this week. We had 23 people show up at the pre-bid meeting. So we'll feel good about, those numbers once that comes forward. So we have that request on the table. And the issue with that is we still would have to issue some bonds in order to cover that renovation. That should be covered through the lapse of a current bond payment that goes away this year. So it really doesn't impact our finances, but it will allow us to get that work done. And we'll work with the Construction and Facility Oversight Committee to really come up with a recommendation on what that might look like based upon the list now that we have to scale it back. So I guess we'd like to open it up for any questions, and Mr. Hyde certainly would answer any questions about the request and where we are with this.
The board will recall, too, there's still an additional opportunity for us to pursue funding, but it would only be for our Title I schools, and that's the QSAB, the Quality Zone. And those are schools that qualify. It is another federal opportunity. We have yet to see it posted officially, so we're waiting for that. We did get word that E-rate is moving forward, so we're pleased with that. So there are other opportunities, and I've shared those with you. Ms. Harkin and I were actually invited to participate in a telephone conference with other neighboring districts. Representative McSweeney actually set it up, but it was with Senator Menard. As you know, the topic of school funding reform is very much on the forefront of our state's initiatives and focus. I was pleased that that we need to be part of the dialogue, and for the first time I felt that at least the reach out to us was appropriate. But I was very pleased that the receptiveness of certain areas that we identified, for example, weighting funding for our special education students. We cannot assume that every student who has a special needs has the same level of need or the same costs associated with that need. And there was receptiveness to that. There was also some of the proposed changes going forward is actually some weighted funding to incentivize districts for preschool and kindergarten. There was some conversation about that. There was also conversation about also differentiating, or tiering was the term that was used ultimately, funding for our ELL students as well. Because again, the cost difference for a student who's been identified as ELL but who has been in that system and been in our education system for 3 or more years is vastly different from a newcomer. So to hear that they're actually open to the weighting process was very interesting. Other superintendents, kudos to them, really put out there on the forefront that the recommendation is, in order for this to move forward for any of us, because there's still going to be a perception that we dealt with last time of winners and losers, that the only way to deal with this is to make sure that there is a base required local level of effort that is established, because as you know, some districts have the ability and do tax more heavily than others, and that's part of the concern about the equity aspect of school funding. The state's going to have to address the adequacy issues moving forward. There's discussions about how that might happen. But again, I'm not thrilled, but I'm pleased there's progress being made. And again, at least we're part of the discussion to make sure that if there's going to be a change to school funding formula, it makes sense for a district like ours and for others. So it's important that we maintain involvement in that. So I was pleased to have Ms. Harkin actually participate with that. And as a result, we're drafting our talking points, and I'll submit those to the board before Friday.
So just as a later point in the board meeting, we will be asking you to move forward with these requests that are on the slide up there now.
I had a couple comments. Even though the red font with the strike through, it looks like the items disappeared. They didn't disappear. Most of these items are postponed. As mentioned, we don't really know what's going on with the state, and we do have a fund balance right now, but we want to pay attention to those projections with the 5-year curve to make sure the slope doesn't get us into trouble where we'd be looking at crazy cuts if something surprises us from Springfield. And also, some of the items that were postponed could be started mid-year or at any time that are absolutely needed, or as funding may become available. Right. So we're trying to maintain fund balance at least 25% per the board policy to make sure we can meet payroll in May and June when the property taxes just start coming in, and state money doesn't always come in from GSA or categoricals. But we'll keep reevaluating this budget every year, and well, more often every few months, to fund as many of these items as we can.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Ms. Harkin. The last item I'll ask Lindsay Sharp to please join us at the podium. This is the last item on the superintendent's agenda and report for this evening. And it's an update. As you recall, last year we celebrated the fact that we were selected to participate. Jennifer Troy is here. Is Amy P. here?
She has class tonight.
She has class this evening. Okay. So the three of them worked to submit this grant application, and it provided us funding to start to develop an art curriculum. And it was more about thematic units of approach that teachers could easily incorporate into their classrooms. Since that time, obviously, we've come forward with a recommendation that we actually put art teachers back in our elementary schools, but that doesn't mean the work will go without being used. And it's a great starting point. And the state superintendent today, as a matter of fact, sent out an update that at the last state board ISB meeting, they actually brought forward the new Illinois art standards for approval and recommendation and approval. So the state's moving in that direction. We're really proud of that work. So Ms. Sharp and Ms. Troy are here this evening to provide an update as to where we are with that grant.
We also have Natalie Shadell here. She's one of our middle school art teachers, and she wanted to join us this evening. She preferred to remain in the audience, but we wanted to recognize her. She was on one of our curriculum writing teams.
Somebody point.
Where is she? So
okay.
The grant, we ended up, it was approximately $20,000 we spent. And like Mr. Hyde said, we did create quarterly art experiences. This helped us further develop music curriculum writing. And we had that men's vocal experience, which was our first one and brought together, elementary and middle school students. So for the elementary art lessons, we had 18 teachers apply to be part of this process. 8 teachers were selected. And what was unique about this experience is 6 of those teachers were elementary content teachers, and we had 2 high school or secondary art teachers. I shouldn't say high school, secondary. We had 1 middle and 1 high school. And they worked in 2 teams, a K-2 team and a 3-5 team, to create these experiences. The byproduct, and we constantly talk about this though, was not only great experiences and great lessons to share, but they enjoyed so much working in a K-12 environment. Secondary teachers talked about how great it was to work with collaborative elementary teachers, and elementary teachers enjoyed just the networking with high school and middle school teachers. So overall, just a great experience for teachers and students alike. Through this process, and I will show some art examples shortly, we had the teams of teachers go back and try them in their classrooms with students and revise the lessons based on how their students were working with them. We couldn't have been more excited with the product of student work we're getting ready to share. So who doesn't love little elementary students, but this is part of their processes when they were creating it. This was a totem pole lesson. And as you can see, you see some tie-in with writing, you see tie-in with math, but these are some of the examples. You do see a totem pole lesson, you see an Arctic lesson, just really robust pieces of art. I can tell you recently being at Lincoln Prairie, there is artwork hanging in the hallways there from Jessica Weir and her team as students worked on one of those art lessons recently. Okay, it's Troy. Go back.
As Mr. Hyde referenced, we have new national core art standards that were released in June of 2014. Our music team came together and started to unpack those standards. There are 3 artistic processes that the music standards look at: creating, performing, and responding. Our team has started the work of looking at knowledge and skills that we will be asking of our students to demonstrate in class, and as well looking at the assessments that came with the new standards. We're aware that Illinois has started to look at their own version of that. So Mr. Hyde, thank you for that update tonight. We have seen a draft of those, and they do align very well with the national standards. And as Mrs. Sharp mentioned, we did have our very first Men's Vocal Festival in January. This involves students from grades 4 through 9 bringing men together to sing, which was a great experience. The day was a success. We had 80 students come from all of our schools, and sing together, just celebrate that experience. We had Dr. Sweet from the University of Illinois come, and she was outstanding with our kids. She really connected with them. We were fortunate to actually bring her in for 2 days, and on Friday before our festival, she worked with students at Dundee Crown High School and Dundee Middle School as well. So we got to use her in a variety of ways. In addition, we had representatives from the University of Illinois Men's Glee Club come and sing with our men, sing for our men, and mentor them. And they really had some nice conversation and dialogue about what their experiences are and how when you start younger, you get to have vocal music just be a part of their life. So this experience was a great event. We surveyed the staff involved in the committee afterward to get some feedback. Definitely some areas of growth that we could look at for next year, but we're very pleased with our first experience with the Men's Vocal Fest. That concludes our report. Sure. It is not. Dr. Barrington Coleman is the conductor of the University of Illinois Men's Glee Club. What we found was the date that we chose, the students at the University of Illinois were not back in session yet. Their semester had not started. But as I said, they were able to send, I believe there were 8 men here. We were expecting better numbers, but the weather was not great on that day, and some did have to travel a distance. We have been invited to send some of our men to their festival in March that they're having down there specifically for men, and our high schools have that confirmation or contact information. So Dr. Sweet is an expert in the middle school changing male voice, so we thought that she would be the right person to come in for that. It is a specialty, and she's
in Peoria, and she worked with right before we went on and she is amazing. I couldn't believe the amount she could talk on that topic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, she's published. She's got books that she's written, and she's quite an authority.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience to have her here in the district.
I think there's a lot of moms in the audience that are good authority on that as well.
On the changing male voice.
On the changing male voice.
Yeah. I was just going to say,
voice.
Mr. Fiorentino, you didn't have a son, so.
No, but I was there.
Madam President, board members, staff, and community members, and students, if you're still in attendance, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Okay.
Well done.
Moving on. We had nothing under public participation. So I'm going to go down, still getting used to this new procedure, although it's not really new anymore, but I'm still getting used to it. Down discussion items. If someone has something they want to ask a question or have more information on, just let me know. So 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, 9-4, 9-5. Am I going too fast? Do you want me to tell you what these are all about? 9-6. 9-5. Yes, Mrs. Kovacs.
It does. Actually, the ROE just recently concluded their review of Cambridge Lakes Charter School. That is not our facility, though. So, Mr. Bombeos, I do believe that that's why they're not included. We do not sustain or support that facility in an official capacity, hence our exclusion of that group.
Okay. 9-6, 9-7, 9-8, 9-9, 9-10.
Just a comment on 9-10.
Yes.
I just want to thank Mr. Bader. Is he here, Jeff? Jeff and Mr. Parisi, thank you for doing this. I know you had to maneuver through a lot of stuff and put it together very quickly, but we really appreciate it because this is going to bring a lot to our district. The East Coast and the West Coast are way ahead of us in this area, but I think lacrosse for the boys and girls is going to be critical, so thank you.
Okay, 9-11, 9-12. Okay, number 10, motion to approve consent items.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Alessio?
Who was first? No. See, Lopez. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Garcia? Aye. Miller? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Moving on. Item number 11.1. This is employee discipline case number 5, and I have a bit to read. This is a resolution of the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300, Ray, authorizing suspension and termination. Whereas the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300 has received a recommendation from the administration regarding the performance and conduct of Delphina Saravia, a paraprofessional employee previously discussed in closed session, and whereas this Board of Education herewith finds and determines that evidence shows that Ms. Saravia intentionally stole time from the district. Whereas the Board of Education finds that the suspension and dismissal of Ms. Saravia is in the best interests of the district. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300, 1. Ms. Saravia is hereby retroactively suspended without pay for 4 days. We have a misspelling in here, but it's Ms. Saravia. Immediately preceding the adoption of this resolution is hereby dismissed effective immediately as an employee of the school district. That the President and Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to sign and serve or cause to be served on Ms. Saravia preceding the adoption of this resolution a termination notice in the form of Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof, advising her of the Board's action. That this resolution be in full force and effect forthwith upon its adoption. And the Exhibit A is a notice of termination of employment. Ask a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Garcia?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Miller?
Aye.
Lopez? Aye. Ferrantino?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on. Item 11.2, approval of fiscal year 2016-17 budget requests. Motion to approve. Second, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Alessio?
Alessio, aye. Miller?
Aye.
Ferrantino?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. You're all holding your breath on that one.
Thank you.
Okay, board discussion items 12.1. Anything more from board finance? Your next meeting is scheduled Monday, February 29th.
No, it is covered the budget items last meeting.
Construction and facility oversight. Next meeting is Tuesday, March 1st. Was there anything?
Yes, no report. We haven't had a meeting since our last meeting.
Okay, in that case, any other comments from board members or Mr. Hyde?
I just need to add two things. Again, sincere thank you to the board. I know you worked with us diligently to look at the prioritized initiatives. This signals a tremendous step forward for our district, so thank you. It will have an incredible impact. And again, this will be data that we track over the next 3 to 5 years to be able to clearly demonstrate and show you a return on investment, but to be able to bring STEM positions into our elementary schools, to be able to bring art positions into our elementary schools, not only provides greater flexibility. So Pam, you owe me dinner after this one. And to place full-time interventionists into our buildings to work with our students who require some additional remediation and support. I mean, what a tremendous commitment. One-to-one devices. I mean, we're really moving forward. So I know it takes, I know that the expenditures at times can make us all nervous. Trust me, no one's more nervous than I am. But I can promise you, thank you for your faith in us, and we will make sure that it works and that it's highly successful. But I also wanted to, Ms. Burley, who is not here this evening, asked me to just remind the board that we will be bringing forward a resolution to support the Vision 2020, and then also a resolution as it pertains to the federal TRS. changes. As you recall, that's the additional 36% penalty we pay above and beyond our existing costs of employee benefits if we use federal dollars to hire someone. So both of those resolutions will be coming forward to the board in the near future. Just wanted to go ahead and make sure that we were reminded. And Ms. Burley did ask me to share that on the record this evening.
Thank you. With nothing else, and
just want to thank you for allowing us to leave our board meeting so quickly last week so that we could enjoy the concert.
Yeah, that worked out well.
it was very nice having it moved over there and being able to take part in listening to the concert. It was great. Okay, motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
For the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, litigation, and student discipline.
So moved.
Second.
I do that every time, don't I?
Garcia.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Miller.
Aye.
Lopez. Motion passes 5-0.